which means fewer commercials for you guys. And you know the drill. It's going to be the Chief Joel Schultz. It's going to be the badass Scott Steyert and the Wimp Chip the Block show. So there you go. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So hey Scott, I know Scott did not ask me for the badass title. It's just something I came up with because he is. So and I got to meet him in person. And that was kind of cool going to the Columbia Cafe in Tampa.
Yeah.
On the Riverwalk, that was nice. It was a nice backdrop. It was beautiful. We were right on the water. The temperature, it was warm, but we were all dressed appropriate. You were wearing shorts and t-shirts or dry fits. It was comfortable, right? So
yeah, it was a great time at downtown Tampa. It's such an awesome place along the Riverwalk. Great restaurant, the Columbia restaurant. It's amazing food. We had a great time. It was a great time, and it was great. And of course Chrissy and I still talk about that awesome drink.
I was going to say, too bad you guys don't drink. It was a lot of fun breaking bread. I love to do things over food, Chief. So when you come into town, there will be food. There will be food involved.
I can do that.
All right.
I like Scott's man cave there. I thought you were at a coffee shop when I first looked at that, and then I saw the dog.
There is a story. A story there. Yeah. Now remember, we are active on the stream, so don't give out your location because we don't want a bunch of 17-year-olds, young girls beating your door down and upsetting whoever else might be there. So, but you got 4 minutes to tell that story, Scott. He's relocating, and I like the digs, man. I like the digs, and I like the dog. So
it's a safe house, is what you're saying.
This is my safe house. If I ever have to take off and I need to go somewhere, this is where I go. It's still going to be here. A buddy of mine, he's going to be staying here watching the house for me. So yeah, it worked out really good.
So and there are no coyotes within a 50-mile radius of where Scott lives. I'm just saying. I don't know how that happened. I'm just saying. There's a lot of carcasses laying around, but there's no live coyotes.
I've caught black bears stealing my trash. I've had mountain lions on my webcam. I've never seen one in person. I've seen a bobcat up here. We had a fox den that was right down at the bottom of the driveway. Coyotes come through. Whenever I don't get around to taking care of that, but
it's my neighborhood.
Oh, it's great. And then sometimes there could be up to 20 or 30 deer in my yard. And my dog now, he just watches them. He looks at it because he realizes there's no way he's going to catch them. He tried, but he can't do it. So he just watches them, and it's pretty cool. I like it up here. I'm going to miss it.
Yeah. Well, you said you still have it, you said, right? So.
Oh yeah, I'm still going to have it. Yeah. It's always I don't want to give this place up. It's a beautiful place. It's across from a state park. I have some acreage. If I were to try to buy this house today, there's no way I would be able to afford it. So I've done a lot of work to this house. I've changed the exterior. I painted pretty much everything. I added all this wood here is actually wood that is made in Wyoming. I mean, it comes from the I don't know if you've been out in Wyoming, but they have the snow fences or for wind, and so it doesn't it allows it to drift up, so it doesn't get on highways and stuff like that. But there's wood all over the state, and there's a company that has a contract with the state that goes out and replaces all the wood on these fences that get weathered, and then they just rip the wood down and they make it true, and then you can buy it like this, like section. So it's actual reclaimed wood, which is really cool, and it adds some really cool accents to the house. I've done so much work here that I have no plan. I mean, I want to pass this onto my kids, and hopefully they'll have it one day.
Sweet. So guys, if you want to, I'm gonna throw one surprise story in that I got on Coffee and COVID this morning, but other than that, I'll go by the numbers. There's that one story about the Secret Service. I may hold that for our Secret Service guys to cover. So I know that was I think update number 1. Otherwise I'll be going through the numbers. If you want to take anything out of order, I gave you 5 videos. I didn't know which one of those you might like better than the other. So if you want to take anything out of order or make sure we cover something that you want to cover, just let me know.
Okay.
I've got to learn to stop throwing my notes away, because I'll make notes and then, we won't get to it. And then 2 weeks later, we're covering it.
Yeah. That can happen. Yeah, some of these are ones that I've had on hold, and some of these are great videos. There's one where a cop, it's outside of a CVS or something, and he's got a brick wall, and he's trying to get the bad guy out of the car.
Oh,
The
yeah,
bad guy
that's
backs
terrifying.
up the driver's door. He gets caught, and his partner takes out the driver. But yeah, there's just some stuff I've been wanting to cover. But yeah, when I do stack the stories with the videos, I try to start off with the most sensational, beneficial one to cover. And some of these they may be like video number 2, but they'll get pushed back. And then I find myself like 2 weeks later really wanting to cover these things because there's a huge benefit to law enforcement, and we'll just cover them late. So
That Montreal story is really disturbing, where the officer gets charged after they shoot the guy with the knife through the park on the snowy day. The Canadian cops.
I know we got 30 seconds, but which one is that? Update? Is that update article?
Yeah, I know we talked about it, but maybe not on the air. Yeah, it was.
I thought that you would like.
Yeah, it was a Toronto cop shooting of a guy with a knife running through the park.
Yeah, not sure which one that is. So, but we got 14 seconds. So I'm going to go and start the music, guys, and I will see you guys in 10. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome to Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host, and we're a group of law enforcement professionals that talk about today's news and issues, but we do it from a law enforcement perspective. And let me introduce the crew. Guys, if you don't mind waiting for the video portion of our show, he's back. Dr. Joel Schultz, retired as a police chief, and he's in the beautiful state of Colorado, so thanks for being here on the show, Chief. Appreciate it. Also, Scott Steyert. He is a former Green Beret Delta Force member. He is with AeroPrecisionUSA.com. Hey, they're tier rifles. That is the handiwork of Scott Steyert. And, this exciting stuff. And during SHOT Show in January, I was there in Las Vegas, and I put my hands on some of that stuff. And it was pretty spectacular, to be honest with you. So thanks for being on the show, gentlemen. Hey, a shout out to our sponsors. Gauls, our title sponsor at Gauls.com. We have CompliantTechnologies.com, our satellite sponsor. AeroPrecisionUSA.com. That's Scott's company, and they are our arms sponsor. We have Gunlearn.com, MyMedicare.live, SafeguardRecruiting.com, our streaming sponsor, where we're reaching over 1 million people right now on stream. Also, TwoBells.com. They built a new online store at LeoRoundtable.com. Please check them out. They got cool gear like the shirt that I'm wearing, and we don't make a dime off the store. The prices are low on purpose. They're dirt cheap. When I order something, I pay the exact same thing you guys pay, and so it's a great opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to get that mug to you, Chief. It's in the mail. And we've got FishOrlandoBass.com, and Zach with Fish Orlando. He has a bass fishing charter based out of Orlando, Florida. And when most people think of Orlando, we think of Disney, right? So it is Disney World in Florida. So if your wife and the kids or grandkids want to go, man, take them there, guys. And you have options. Do the bass fishing charter with Zach at FishOrlandoBass.com, or, and this is where Scott starts to get excited, they have alligator hunting, so you can actually catch and relocate alligators. And so, yeah, see, that's what Scott's all about. So, so you're not killing the alligators. That may be a little disappointment for you, Scott, but you are catching and releasing, relocating. So it's a cool opportunity. FishOrlandoBass.com. Hey, a shout out to Brian Burns for the Tampa Free Press at TampaFP.com. Thanks for carrying our content, Brian. Also, Ray Dietrich, former lawman.com, and also our very own Travis Yates with lawofficer.com. Thanks to all these entities for helping make this show happen. And now, what in the world are we going to be talking about today? I've got a surprise article. Even our guests don't know about this one yet. I read Coffee and COVID at coffeeandcovid.com. Every morning, 7 days a week. And attorney Jeff Childers in Gainesville, Florida, puts out the publication. It started off as like COVID vaccines, COVID-19, and now it includes political commentary and some great information. So it's titled, the piece that I'm going to be covering, Kavanaugh's attempted assassin identifies as transgender. So there's some new information coming out that we're finding out, from Coffee and COVID. And then we've also got ICE and Border Patrol arrest 800 illegal immigrants. Where? Chicago. 800 guys, crazy, and they didn't want him coming. We're going to cover that. NYPD detective removed from Ryder Cup. I may hold on to this one because it deals with the Secret Service. But there's an NYPD detective removed from the Ryder Cup after security breach. That's a weird story. St. Johns County deputy shoot and kill a guy holding a gun after a neighbor reported a suspicious person. We've got police releasing body cam and 911 call before two officers shoot a guy that points a BB gun at them. California court blocks the full seizure of a murderer's retirement funds for restitution. I really want to cover this one, Chief, while you're on the show. I think you'll add some good value to that one. Suspect shot when he pins an officer between the vehicle and a wall during a welfare check of all things. We got a family blaming police in Texas after the officer violates an order. He drives the murderer to the victim's home. Huge mistake. We should cover that one too. Body cam video shows a shooting involving an officer after a guy flees a traffic stop. And then Toronto officer, this is the one the chief was talking about. Toronto officer pleads guilty to assault and careless use of a firearm in the shooting that leaves a man injured. And that is going to be video number 5. So we will get through these. Hopefully, I know we're not going to be able to have time to cover all these, but we'll get through as many of these as we can. So let's cover the first surprise article that I had, coffeeandcovid.com. It's taken from Kavanaugh, attempted assassin, identifies as a transgender. And that particular one is going to be on a Newsweek article. So Jeff Childress is an attorney in Gainesville. He's a humorous guy. He writes these articles. He's got a newsletter that goes out every day. And guys, you know what? It's free. Look, I pay extra, so I get the one that comes out on Sunday. But Monday through Saturday, those are free. And if you go to coffeeandcovid.com and sign up, you can get the free publications. And look, let me tell you, it's kind of like the purpose of the show. We want to make people among the smartest people in the room when it comes to the news, right? And we tell the news from a law enforcement perspective. This will get you to a great start. If you simply read this publication that comes out about 9 o'clock Eastern time every day, you'll be so far ahead of the game with any news topic, and you're going to know the backstory. He covers New York Times and the Washington Post. He goes to all the sources and tells you what everybody's saying, so you don't have to. So he starts off by saying that 2 weeks ago, Newsweek ran a tragically predictable story, headline, Kavanaugh's attempted assassin identifies as transgender. I actually was unaware of that. The assassin, they give his name, which I'm not going to, is due to be sentenced in court actually today is when that's going to happen. So it goes on to say that back on June the 8th of 2022, when all this stuff went down, so we're talking really about 3 years ago, which is just wild. I can't believe time flies. And it's interesting how quickly we forget the facts. This guy, he gets out of a cab. He starts walking towards Justice Brett Kavanaugh's house. He's got a backpack, and in it, he's got a Glock 17 pistol. It's got a knife, zip ties, and burglary tools. And it says that he had flown across the country, believing himself to be an agent of history, ready to strike down a sitting justice in his home. And the list that he had to kill included 3 conservative Supreme Court justices. 3. That's what this guy was going to do. It goes on to say that when he gets to this street, which is really quiet, he's startled because there are a couple of U.S. Marshals that are on the porch of Brett Kavanaugh's home. He wasn't prepared for that. He gets rattled, calls 911, confesses that, why he's there. The cops roll in. It's a cul-de-sac, and he surrenders himself. And he gets taken into custody. Now, they got recent court filings reveal that back in 2020, this guy confronted a different crisis that he was going through this whole transgender, realizing himself, thinking he's a female, seeking medical care, confided his identity of this crap going on in a tight circle of teachers, a trusted sister, and certain close friends. He didn't want his parents to know because he didn't think that they would understand, but there was a gender identity issue. Prosecutors now describe this guy as a would-be woman who imagined herself as an agent of destiny, studying 3 sitting Supreme Court justices as potential quarry. And he goes on to say that if the justices were no longer there, that he believed that the leaked Dobbs decision, and that's a problem with that leaker, by the way, but because that Dobbs decision leaked, moving, certain things like, abortion, state decisions and stuff, that might it might die along with the justices. And that was apparently the motivation, behind killing the 3 conservative justices. And Childress goes on to say that we'll find out today at the sentencing whether the court considers this guy's transgender identity as a mitigating factor in trying to kill an abortion decision by killing the judge. The prosecution actually wants this guy to go away for 30 years. The defense attorneys are asking for only 8 years and 25 years of supervision, given that he did not go through with it. He surrendered peacefully, and he should not be jailed with men, is what their argument is. And so Childress also suspects, or he throws this out, and the chief may find this interesting. He wonders if he said the lawyers stopped just short of arguing that this guy's mentally ill. And he said that would have made the argument a lot more interesting because of the gender identity issue. And we all know the background and even the history involving that, where they actually did consider previously it to be a mental illness or mental condition. So that's we have some new revelations in regard to this. But guys, how close did we come to losing potentially 3 conservative justices because a document was leaked? As far as I know, and I know that they were going to try to find the leaker, they've never identified the leaker, and that's a huge problem. But any commentary on this, guys? I was surprised to see it. Scott, you want to start us off?
Well, to me, it just goes to show how scary all this is. Okay, if all you have to do really is have be crazy enough, I guess, or have the willingness to go kill somebody, and it's not that hard. I mean, you're talking about. I mean, look how close Trump almost died twice. Okay, then you had the Charlie Cook thing. That's the scary part, is these average cowardly, weak, pathetic people still have the ability to kill others because they have this derangement syndrome in their head, whatever. But that's the scary part. And so I think, and going back to the Secret Service thing, these guys need to up their security. I mean, this is very, very, very serious. And then when you have people like this, that means that there's literally, tens of thousands of people out there that think just like this guy. Just look at the Charlie Kirk thing and all the crazy people that actually go, yeah. They're chanting this like it's okay. They're out there, and all they need to do is just go out and do it. I mean, that's the scary part. So, I mean, we dodged a bullet on that, but I mean, that would have changed.
We did. It's hard for me not to see. I think that we're partially at fault on this, and I'm talking us as a society. There's a lot of people with mental illness, and Scott, you've heard us talk about it before. And while we're coming up for commercial break, hold that thought, guys. Commercial break. We're going to be talking about Gauls. We'll be right back. All right, guys, time to talk about our title sponsor, Gauls, at Gauls.com. And guys, as police officers, we all know we can get our gear from a lot of different places. And, when you throw the online mix, it's like limitless, right? But here's the important thing. I want to remind everybody about the importance of actually supporting the companies that support us, law enforcement. I don't know of a company that does it better than Gauls at Gauls.com. Even their motto is proud to serve those who serve, which, of course, they do in spectacular fashion. Not only that, they walk the talk by supporting dozens, and I mean dozens of focused organizations like this radio show. So when you're looking for gear, please support our title sponsor by going to Gauls at Gauls.com. I got some tactical pants in yesterday from Gauls that I'm going to show them off in a minute. They're spectacular. But Gauls is going to do you one better. For the loyal listeners of the show, they're going to give you a radio code that you can get 15% off your next purchase at Gauls.com. It's Radio 15. So type in Radio 15 in order to get 15% off your next purchase at Gauls.com. Guys, it's an amazing opportunity. Take them up on that. Now it's time to talk about Compliant Technologies at CompliantTechnologies.com. And yes, they are our satellite sponsor. They're committed to providing non-lethal solutions that help officers gain the upper hand safely and rapidly in a humane, low optics manner, utilizing their CD3, which stands for Conductive Distraction and De-escalation Technology. Now, their flagship product, we all know by now, is called the Glove. It's helped officers tens of thousands of times with no injuries. And yes, you heard that correctly. I said no injuries. The Glove has actually achieved non-lethal status in an arena that predominantly can only offer less lethal results. When it comes to weapons retention, transitioning to a sidearm or conducted energy weapon, the Glove at CompliantTechnologies.com, they have virtually eliminated weapons confusion. So stay ahead of the game with Compliant Technologies and their revolutionary CD3 that hundreds of agencies have already turned to. And friends, take it from me. When it comes to safety, this is one of the most common sense hands-on solutions that's ever come along. Go to complianttechnologies.com today and tell them that Chip sent you. Again, that is complianttechnologies.com. All right, we've got 2 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show. And yeah, I do have my new tack pants on, and I will be showing those off in a second. So yeah, I'll wait till we start the radio portion. But yeah, that commercial snuck up on us just like, out of nowhere, Chief. I mean, you got me like engaged. I'm conversing. I'm trying to figure out what the Chief's drinking in his coffee mug, and all these things are going through my head. And then the clock's flashing, So yeah.
I was watching it. I assumed that you were too.
I've got 2 clocks. So I've got the big one behind me that you guys can see. And then I got a small one here. And so sometimes when I get engaged, thank God it has a flash feature. So when I'm like 15 seconds away from a hard break, it starts to flash. And I do have it set up with a satellite company to where even let's just say I screw it up. I know it's hard to imagine for you guys, me screwing something up, but let's just say that I just screw it up, right? It's still going to cut the commercial break. So the satellite company is cutting us off, and the local stations are doing their local break thing, whether I like it or not. So, but ideally, I'm going to do the music and everything's going to sound like nice and official and stuff. But whether I get it right or not, they're going to cut us on a hard break. So.
Well, that your transition music ought to queue up automatically, so you get that audio signal. You hear that on radio shows all the time. You hear the music coming up. We got to go.
Well, that's those guys have a board op, and when I was at the radio station, I did have a board. I had producer Jimmy, but yeah, when I left the radio station, it's just me now. So I gotta be in my A game. So today I'm probably in my A minus or B plus game. So.
Well, you must have only had one of those bangs that you're drinking. I'm actually drinking mushroom coffee. So
you are.
It has the mushrooms in it, and yeah, it's really cool. It's actually very, very good coffee. I don't taste the mushrooms. It's really good.
All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip DeBlock, and I'm your host. We're joined by Chief Joel Schultz and also Special Forces Scott Steyert. Thanks for being on the show, gentlemen. Appreciate it. We have been talking about, we had a guy that tried to take out Brett Kavanaugh, and he had 2 other conservative Supreme Court justices on his list. And they just revealed that he identified as a female. And, I think that I was, the commercial break kind of stuck up on me, so I apologize. But I had started to say that I kind of feel like we as society are a little bit at fault in this. And I mention all the time that when I started my law enforcement career back in the early 80s and in 83, there were all kinds of mental health facilities where people were getting help. And I noticed over the decades that they started disappearing. And we call it Baker Act in Florida, where you take someone down for medical evaluation, and it can be voluntary, or you can have them temporarily committed to where they're being evaluated, and over maybe a 24, 48-hour period, and then the people in charge of the facility make the determinations after that. But it's whenever they threaten their own safety or the safety of someone else, where you can kind of do that temporary committal thing, or I shouldn't even say committed. You're really getting them evaluated. But that said, there are some people that are identifying as a alternate sex, and that violates physical protocols, right? They're identifying something other than what they are physically, and they need help. In the past, there's been some mental health treatment that they have gotten, and it's really no longer available like that, or even identified as that. Gender dysphoria. They've got all these dummy down names to make it more acceptable, and it's just I kind of feel like we have created the environment that where they're kind of experiencing that. But here's the worst part about all this: you've got people that are suffering in a crisis. And then you've got groups that just throw that thought out there, which is what Scott was talking about. All they need is that trigger. And you start talking about communism and leaking, Supreme Court documents. And then you have people on TV lying about how, you can't you can't identify as a male or a female, or now you can't get an abortion anywhere, and they're just giving the power to the state. But you get people that either don't understand it, or they bastardize the definition of what's going on, and that's that trigger for some of these people that are already off kilter a little bit, and then they go off and they have these wild thoughts about taking out Supreme Court justices, maybe undoing some decision that's getting ready to go down, and that it triggers them. And I'm not saying they're not guilty or shouldn't be held responsible for what they're doing, but we need to do a better job of identifying these problems, giving them the proper label, and getting them the help that they need, without all this misinformation, and just setting the stage for all this bad stuff that happened. If we had a doctor on the show that could help clear up this dilemma for us. Oh, Dr. Joel Schultz, can you give us your expertise on this?
Yeah, speaking of mental illness, Scott revealed during the break that he's drinking mushroom coffee. So I'd like to know if there's any link there. But a couple of things about this, even though you just sprung it on us, flowered a couple of thoughts in my mind. First of all, is the confusion that you addressed about this whole transsexual. I would call it a crisis, because it's interesting that the attorney doesn't want to go, diminish mental capacity as part of his defense, because that would tend to indicate that his transgenderism was a mental illness. And we don't want to say that for the sake of, it sounds like hate language. And he doesn't want to go, he doesn't want to go to a men's prison. So it's so convoluted, and we need to let the science, during COVID, everybody was told, follow the science. Well, we were trying to follow the science, but it changed every day. Europe has finally come around, particularly the UK has finally come around to kind of put a cap on some of these radical surgeries and chemical treatments. Because there's just the science is very, very weak about it. And I don't know what that's like to go through that confusion. I can't identify with that. I don't deny that it's, troubling, and people want to find a solution to their distress. But we really don't know what to do with this whole thing. And, we've been trying to find profiles of shooters for years, of assassins and school shooters and institutional attacks. And there just isn't any, but you do see a way disproportionate involvement of gender identity crises with many of these attackers. It's just statistical. You don't have to make a judgment about what that means, but it's statistically, there's just so many of that personality involved. Then another thing, a third matter, is the strain that protective services are placed under for all of these higher threats. So you said there were marshals there. We always think about Secret Service, but there's Capitol Police, Supreme Court Police, U.S. Marshals. People are pulled in for all of these security details. Whether you're a fish and wildlife officer for the federal, you might be ended up on a crowd control kind of assignment. And I'm not sure that we've got that quite down. We used to think that the Secret Service had their act together and they had the expertise. But there are many, many agencies, including local agencies, that need to kind of up their game on gathering intel and on establishing a plan for the very rare event that a protected person is going to be attacked.
Yeah, I agree. Apparently, the Marshal's office is in charge of the Supreme Court justices, and I don't know, and all this stuff is just becoming. Like you, I thought it would be Secret Service or something along those lines, but apparently there's a lot of federal agencies, and so I guess they're splitting the workload up. But thank God those guys were there. Guys, if it's okay, Scott, did you have something else you wanted to say? You ready to move on to the next topic, or?
No, good. Go ahead. We can move on.
Good. Well, guys, I just got a pair of pants in from Galls, and Galls is now making their own tactical pants. So remember, normally we would be going like 511 Tactical or something like that. And so these pants, and I'm going to stand up in a second, but it's called Mission Made. So you're looking for Mission Made. These things are absolutely fantastic. And I mean, I got my headset on and stuff, but these things are comfortable. They're amazing. And you can go to galls.com and you can use that code radio15 to get 15% off your order and get these things. But they are pretty spectacular. And they're making their own gear now. And so, yeah, these tactical pants, they're comfortable. They fit. I mean, I just gave them, the measurements, the length and the waist, and they nailed it, man. They fit great. So anyhow, I'm going to be wearing these, and thanks to Galls for sponsoring the show. So if you haven't ever considered their new line, Mission Made, these new tactical pants, and they come in different colors and stuff. I like the tan, but they come in black, I believe, too. So check those out. I see that now the chief is looking to see what he's wearing. So, yeah.
I always dress tactically when I come on the show. So
because you have to get into that mindset. You have to put on the tactical clothes. You have to grab your pistol.
I'm packing.
All right, well, guys, it looks like we're in the middle of an Aero Precision commercial that I missed because I was standing up showing my pants. So let me just go ahead and do the Aero Precision thing right now. It looks like the radio stations are on a 4-minute segment right now, are doing their local commercials, and so I don't think I'm at an A-. I think I'm maybe a B now. I'm not even at a B+. My performance on the show. But let me go ahead and discuss AeroPrecisionUSA.com, Scott's company. So introducing Aero Defense by Aero Precision at AeroPrecisionUSA.com, a beacon of durability, dependability, and all-American craftsmanship on the realm of duty rifles. And you know what, Scott? I'm going to wait till we come back to the radio portion, so we get that on radio. So I don't want to jip Aero Precision. So we'll just continue talking about what we're talking about, and we'll go back to that when we come back to radio. I'll do the Aero Precision commercial, and then we'll jump into the next topic. So how does that sound?
Well,
hey, Chip,
usually people say they have a case of the Mondays where they're like all disheveled. You have a case of the Fridays. I think you already think the weekend's here. I mean, you're just like, what's going on? I mean,
well, they always say don't buy a car that was made on a Monday or a Friday, right?
They do say that. Say that.
Yeah. No, I know what it is. Is Chip's wife has him doing more chores around the house, and he's just not prepared. He can't get focused on doing the show. I get it.
See, we've got Betty Dunn watching the show and stuff, and a bunch of people there. Let's see, Betty Dunn is on Facebook. So we're streaming over 1 million subscribers on Facebook right now. We've got Sergeant George on YouTube and some other YouTube people. We've got over at Rumble. We've got in Richmond, Virginia. We've got Arthur. We got MVS in Colorado, where it's apparently 50 degrees in Northwest Colorado. And we've got This is Butter and Leo Roundtable. Yeah, we got a bunch of guys over there as well. And then LinkedIn, I haven't checked in. LinkedIn, we don't usually get a lot of comments on the live show. They come in after the live show is ended for whatever reason. So, but we got about 2 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show. So, and that's a pretty cool shirt in the background there, Chief.
Yeah, I'm ripping. Oh yeah, in the background. Yeah, that's I sacrificed wearing it so it would be in the background of the studio. So do you wear cop stuff? Like, would you go out in public like that and letting people know, that maybe they give you the stink eye because you're
not? I mean, look, you're talking about the pants, right?
Well, yeah, if you go out in your boots and your pants and your shirt, are people going to think that you're the first one they need to take out if they're going to do something?
Now, look, I don't usually. You remind me of a story. So when Brett and I used to work in intelligence, and I
find that funny, but go ahead.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, intelligence. So we used to work. It was a lot of undercover work. So Brett, he had to wear his black boots. He had military boots, and it screamed law enforcement and military. And so I will wear tack pants, and they don't look today's tack pants. It's not like wearing camouflage, tactical pants, whatever. They're tan or black. Now black looks a little bit more militaristic to me. But no, I'll wear these with a t-shirt like this. I'll go out in public, but I'm not going to wear anything that says like police on it. I got shirts I got a ton of shirts with badges. I got a ton of shirts. There I go again. Maybe I'm down to a C level now, Scott, but I got a bunch of shirts with badges. I don't wear those in public at all. So something like this with the thin blue line in the everything's reversed on the radio. But when on this particular logo right here, that's why the thin blue line. So it doesn't scream in your face that we're police, but people that maybe know what a thin blue line is, they might know or think that it has something to do with law enforcement. So, so I am careful about what I do, but we're coming back, guys. Let me start the music. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. Yes, we still have Chief Joel Schultz and Special Forces Scott Steyert on the show. And look, when we left off, I was kind of showing off my new tactical pants that I got from Galls at galls.com, and they're called Mission Made. If anyone wants to check out the new gear, go to galls.com and look for the Mission Made products. They got tactical pants, great deal, great material, great fit. And it is like on the money. When I ordered the length and the width, of the weight, everything was just spot on. Sometimes you order things that are like too small, or you got to order extra large. Not here. These things, and they come in different colors. I like the tan, but they got black too. So check those guys out as well. Now, real quick, I do want to mention Scott's company, Aero Precision at aeroprecisionusa.com, a beacon of durability, dependability, and all-American craftsmanship in the realm of duty rifles. And yes, we're talking about long guns. They're born from an aerospace engineering company, so these guys know what they're doing. And Aero Defense by Aero Precision demands perfection, because settling for anything less is not an option when your life is on the line. Visit aeroprecisionusa.com for a lineup that matches every discipline, because they basically have something for everybody. And back since 1994, they've been quietly leading the AR builder parts domain, but now they're making waves in the complete rifle arena with soulless bolt actions. And that's not all. Their M4 E1 Pro and Mod 4 handguards, they hit the market last year at aeroprecisionusa.com, the embodiments of duty rifle excellence, and they're now being tailored for the civilian customer. And that means that now you guys can start getting your hands on some of this primo stuff. And in addition to that, their M5AR 308 platform, nothing short of spectacular. So don't settle for less, but you can have the best. Head over to aeroprecisionusa.com. All right, we got that. And great products in the tier 1, 2, 3 rifles. Man, I'm going to be holding one of those things up on the show one day and showing that off. That's what you guys need to be looking at, aeroprecisionusa.com. So look, guys, if you are ready to move on, let's talk about ICE and Border Patrol. WashingtonExaminer.com, ICE and Border Patrol, they arrest 800. Yeah, you heard that right. 800 illegal immigrants during a Chicago blitz. Now, remember, the governor and the mayor did not want us coming. In fact, they're not only denying that there's an issue in Chicago, saying that Trump's just, he's not welcome, he's not wanted, and they don't want their guys to cooperate with federal agents, right? So more than 800 illegal immigrants have been rounded up and arrested by federal police, not locals, from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, so ICE and Border Patrol, during a September operation that targeted Chicago. So the Department of Homeland Security announced on Wednesday afternoon that federal agents and officers deployed to Illinois as part of Operation Midway Blitz. I love the names. Since September the 8th, they've arrested more than 800 people that were illegally living in the United States. And among the 800 people, because it's Chicago, such a safe place, according to the governor and the mayor, these 800 people that were arrested in only 3.5 weeks, gang members, criminals convicted of what? Statutory rape. Oh, couldn't be. Fraud, aggravated criminal sexual assault. You're kidding me. Domestic violence and other serious offenses. But what about what the governor and what the mayor said? ICE launched Operation Midway Blitz in honor of Katie Abraham, an Illinois woman who was killed by drunk driving, hit and run guy. And his name is Julio, but he was an illegal immigrant. And it kind of goes on to say that the governor, J.B. Pritzker, said in a recent press conference that none of what President Trump is doing is making Illinois safe. Well, you know what? I beg to differ. Scott, you want to start this one off?
Yeah, it's just amazing to me. I can't believe it's like these governors, they're just buckling down. That's like they are doubling down and like, no, there's nothing to see here. It's just amazing to me how all these years of just allowing this to happen, it became the new norm. So now when we're literally like, Trump is enforcing the law, how it's like he's just some evil person, but the politicians to back that is that just blows my mind. It's these people aren't stupid. It's like, what are you trying to do? And I think the American people are really starting to see it. It's like they are clearly, the Democratic Party is clearly protecting criminals and allowing this to happen. And it's like, what happened to the regular folks? So I mean, kudos to ICE. They're going in there 800. That is, I would call that a successful mission. Good on those guys, and I'm glad, you know, everything seemed to work out well. So keep it up.
And not that I know I'm jumping in before you, Chief, but there are some, you know, there are still, I mean, look, there are a lot of Republicans are where the Democrats used to be, right? There, you still have some Democrats that had their head on straight, like Fetterman and stuff. And I'll tell you, that's a guy that I've really grown to really like, to be honest with you. You've got some guys that have the head screwed on straight that are not supporting this woke, you know, agenda. They don't even like to talk about it. You know, it's almost like embarrassing to them. But yeah, when you hear about these radicals that are allowing this stuff to happen, it makes you scratch your head. But Chief, you'd have to agree that the answer should be at the polls, right? If you don't like what's going on with your elected representatives, don't vote for them. Vote for somebody else. No,
I'm always Spritzer on this. I don't think that has any effect on crime at all. No, that's ridiculous. And I've said this on the show before. We need a strong, viable Democratic Party because we need friction, we need debate, we need opposition, we need compromise. And you know, with the government shutdown, we see what that leads to. There's just no credibility from guys like the mayor and the governor and the Los Angeles mayor. That's saying, hey, this nothing's happened. You remember Baghdad Bob when Iraq was being invaded? He was Hussein's PR guy, and he'd say, "Oh no, we are winning the war. We don't see any troops at all." While you know the town was being run over, you know, by our troops, just lying in the face of facts. And Holman was on the air the other day, said that 70% of this 800 or whatever numbers in whatever city are hardcore criminals. They've got criminal records. And then that doesn't count the number of violent protesters that they arrested that were trying to interfere with the enforcement of the law, plus people that may have been on watch lists or terror threats or gang members, whether they had a record or not. So you know, the Californians, liberals are saying that ICE is out hunting people, which is a terrible way to phrase it. But they're just catching bad guys, and there's so many of them. And I really feel bad for the good-hearted, looking for a better life, paid thousands of dollars for a coyote to get them across the border. Maybe they didn't know any better. I think there are a lot of innocence. I know they're not innocent if they came across the border without authorization, but there's a lot of fine people that could gain citizenship and that could be productive, and they're the ones that are going to be suffering from the lawbreakers. And that attack on the Dallas ICE facility, where the people that were killed were the immigrants. I mean, it's almost a metaphor or a template for what's really happening is because of Biden's open border policy, where 12 million at least people came across unvetted, unvaccinated, and now we have to have these extreme measures to kind of get us back in control of immigration. It is hard on, you know, I would not want to be an immigrant who is trying to be a citizen and suddenly have to look over my shoulder all the time instead of having had the process solidly in place, and I could have come here without fear in the proper way. So it's a mess being cleaned up.
Yeah, exactly. And I think most Americans feel the same way. Like, look, I don't blame anybody living in a third world country or having, you know, hardship wanting to come to America. I don't blame that at all. If I was in their position, I would probably do the same thing. The problem is what they need to realize, or what they don't understand, is that they were being used by the Democrats So that's why the whole open border, because they thought they were getting votes. They were trying to change the course of, you know, of the voting structure. They're trying to add, and they were flying them to strategic places like around the country in order, you know, any of those purple states that they did, you know, they could swing
electoral votes.
Electoral votes. I was looking for it. That's the problem. They were being used, and it's like, and yet Trump's the bad guy. It's like finally there's like an adult taking charge here and doing the right thing. And now he's the bad guy. It's like, I know it got out of hand. And I really do feel bad because the Mexican culture, it's so ingrained in America. It's so important. It's part of our culture. I love it. It's just, you know, you have, I mean, I always phrase it like this. Imagine if 12, 20, 30 million of, you know, white Americans went over to Mexico and started going, you know, filling up the hospitals, using the welfare system, you know, just draining all the resources, and then wanting to change culture and then protesting in their streets against their own guy. That's crazy. They would not stand for it at all. But again, this is all coordinated. And back to your point, like the reason why this is so bad, it's the news stations. They're taking everything out of context and making everybody upset and mad.
Yeah. At least you're being offered the opportunity to self-deport, and they can get back on the list and get back in the legal way. Guys, coming up on our next commercial break, stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, guys, it's time to talk about GunLearn at gunlearn.com. And you know, as law enforcement officers, we deal with guns every day, but it's what we don't know about them that gets us into trouble. Injuries, civil lawsuits, accidental discharges, misidentifications, lost prosecutions, and also disciplinary issues. But gunlearn.com, they have your back. You can quickly become extremely firearm knowledgeable by simply learning 14 training modules from the convenience of your home or your office, or by attending the live seminar at gunlearn.com. You can also become a safe, accurate, and competent certified firearm specialist like our very own Captain Brett Bartlett and also attorney Ken Apianco. Now, the course has had huge success in raising the bar of firearm knowledge, and GunLearn has been a trusted source since way back in 2011 by gun manufacturers, federal agencies, forensic organizations, and police departments nationwide. Now, here's the deal. The founder, Dan O'Kelly, has got a deal for you if you have your own agency. If you're a chief or a sheriff, you can actually host a seminar for absolutely no cost. Amazing opportunity. Go to gunlearn.com to get more information, gunlearn.com. Okay, guys, we got 2 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show. And all right, I'm back on my A game. Here we go. Yeah, I'm drinking the Bang Energy today. So
it's kicking in. Starting to kick in.
Well, the next 14 minutes are going to be great.
See, I'm checking our stream over here at Rumble here. If anything you want us to talk about, guys, let us know. I'm checking LinkedIn, and of course, we've got Betty Dunn is taking over on Facebook. Look at that. She's out of control. United we stand, divided we fall. We're in the basement. All right. So we're off to. So anybody got any big? Go ahead, Scott. I was going to ask if you had any big plans for the weekend, but
no, just baseball games. Just more moving. Nothing exciting here. So
all right.
I wish.
All right.
But I need to plan a hunt trip. I have a tag for antelope and I got a tag for elk, and I'm running out of time on the antelope side of the house, and I need to get over there. I got a buddy who has a ranch. He said I could go hunt on it, so I just need to find the time and go out and hunt. So
yeah, you ran out of coyotes in Wyoming, so yeah.
Well, I can't eat coyotes, so. But I love antelope though. It's so good.
Is it
Free
really
range, all natural? Yeah, it's very lean. A lot of people don't like it, but as long as you process it good, after you harvest it, and as long as you get it, cooled down quickly and all that, you do that right, and then cook it obviously proper. You don't want to overcook any kind of wild game. It's very good. It has a sagey flavor to it. So either you like sage or you don't, but I like it. Just adds a little bit of flavor to the meat. It's really nice.
Interesting. All right. Don't get me talking about food, Chief. Woo. All right. We're 10 seconds still, guys.
I'd believe him if he wasn't drinking mushroom coffee.
All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, your host. We're joined by Chief Joel Schultz and also Special Forces Scott Steyert with Aero Precision. Are you guys ready to move on to a story with a video component? Am I moving too quickly for you guys? All right. Well, I apologize. The Bang Energy is kicking in right now. So we got rumble.com. This is Butter, which is our favorite law enforcement video channel. I'm gonna jump and we're gonna go to the suspect shot when he pins an officer between the vehicle and the wall during a welfare check, if that's okay with you guys. Just I've been waiting to cover this story, and it's pretty good. So we're in Indianapolis. So here's what we got. This is November the 14th. We have Indianapolis Metropolitan Police officers. They respond to a call of an unresponsive guy that's in the drive-through of a CVS. Okay, so he's in the drug drive-through, unresponsive. There is some humor in that, right? So after waking up and initially complying with the officer's instructions, this guy that ends up being a bad guy, Terrence Shane, he gets back in the car. So at that point, the driver's door is still open. He puts the car in reverse. And so to put the visual part of this in, the guy it's like a drive-through, but on the side where the driver's door opens up, he's got just enough room to open up the driver's door before it would touch this like red brick wall. And so the officer is there between the wall and the guy's car. So when he opens up the door, and he's out. He gets back in the car, leaves the door open, puts the car in reverse. Well, guess who's standing between the car and the wall and on the inside of the open door? It's the cop. So when he reverses, the officer gets pinned between the vehicle and the wall, and it hits the officer with the door. And it's a brutal video to watch because you're just like cringing, like, oh crap, this like cop is like, looks like he's getting crushed, right? So it says you hear shots go off, and I'm thinking, you don't know what's going on. Well, there's a cop out of view initially, at least anyhow, that's trying to save his partner, and that guy shoots the bad guy, hits him in the arm at least once. The officer amazingly did not suffer any broken bones or significant injuries. So I'm going to jump to my show notes on this one. So the officer was actually giving commands to the bad guy who was refusing the commands, and he got back inside of his vehicle, and there is a struggle. So the cop is trying to prevent this scenario from going down that way, but the guy was able to get the car in gear, and it starts backing up, and the cop is not in the car, and he gets caught with that door, and he gets wedged and pinned. And his partner, who's kind of off camera until they have another video showing it, he's the dude firing the shots, because you're left thinking it's maybe the officer just getting crushed, but it's that other partner. He hits the driver, who crashes into the wall. And then we have surveillance video that starts at 5 minutes and 6 seconds, and it shows the suspect backing up and the partner grabbing, shooting, and then he grabs the cop that's on the ground, drags him out of the way in case the bad guy decides to run over him again and stuff. So it's really amazing video from different sources and stuff, and the officer suffering no broken bones or significant injuries. That's just icing on the cake. Chief Schultz.
Yeah, you're right. That's a terrifying video, and having been hit by a couple of cars during my career, I kind of had a little bit of a flashback there. I've talked about this before on the show that V position that you're in between, with an open door and the main part of the vehicle. That's just so volatile and so dangerous because there's very little opportunity for retreat. And I'm not blaming this officer because that's how you access the guy to assess him or to arrest him. I might have said, go ahead and jerk him back towards you and get him under arrest, and then he wouldn't be able to get back in the car. We've also talked about tactics where if you've got the possibility of a car moving and being used as a weapon, that you pin it in. With a couple of cars, that presents its own tactical challenges, but that would have perhaps kept this vehicle immobile. And, we went through a period of time, probably 10, 15 years ago, where all the departments all over the place were saying, okay, never shoot into a vehicle. And then we started seeing terrorist attacks with vehicles and cases like this where a vehicle's being used as a weapon. And so there are just many exceptions. If you want to have a general rule, no, we don't want to shoot into vehicles. You better have a big asterisk on that policy so that you have the opportunity to take action when you need to.
Good point.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And I'll tell you something else. This is where the glove from Compliant Technology would
you're right.
work perfect. And it just, I like, why every law enforcement officer in America doesn't have a pair of these gloves is beyond me. I don't understand. These things are amazing. And especially with vehicle extractions, it's a no brainer. You grab a hold of somebody's hand, their fingers, pull their neck. They are compliant 100% safe, not going to harm anybody, and completely change the outcome within seconds. So I just think, there are ways out there. There's technology like the glove from Compliant Technology. If it's employed properly with a little bit of training, very little training, because you're just wearing them, game changer, ultimate game changer.
Yeah, you can still fire a weapon with it too. That's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Scott, because that is one. It's getting to the point quickly to where agencies that don't, it's so readily available and affordable that you're going to have to start explaining to judges why you didn't have it available when you're writing checks. That are a lot more money than what it's going to cost to get it anyhow. For your troops. So yeah.
Absolutely. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of videos out there where you see cops, they're engaged, they're fighting with the suspect, and literally, if they just had the glove on, everything would have been over literally within seconds.
So guys, here's what we have a choice for what we're going to cover. We've only got a little over 3 minutes, so we can cover the California court blocking the full seizure of a murderer's retirement funds because he had a spouse that was supposed to get the funds. We have a family blaming police in Texas because they took the murderer to the victim's home, and then we got, you want that one, and then we got the Toronto video. So I don't know that we're gonna have enough time for the Toronto video though. So you want to do the California one?
Yeah.
Okay, so TampaFreePress.com, family blames police in Texas after officer violates an order, drives the murderer to the victim's home. I'm going to cover this quickly. Family of a Texas woman murdered just days after police officer gave her estranged husband a ride back to her home in violation of a court order, has announced plans to sue the Arlington Police Department, and I don't even need to explain why. Mary Spears, 53 years old, was found dead in her backyard on September the 22nd. She had multiple stab wounds. Her son, 19, Ashton Spears, found her after her estranged husband, Frederick Spears, 55, who is now charged with her murder, was given a ride to the home by a police officer, an Arlington police officer. Frederick Spears had been arrested on September the 17th, and he was charged with aggravated assault after a Ring camera allegedly captured him holding knives and threatening the family member, according to Ashton Spears, who gave it to CBS News Texas. He was released on bond the next day with an emergency protective order explicitly prohibiting him from returning to the home or contacting Mary Spears. Despite the court order, Frederick Spears was reportedly given a ride by Arlington police, an officer, back to Mary Spears' residence to retrieve his car, and APD has since acknowledged the error. The department acknowledges the officer should not have arranged transportation back to the home. You think? We have a minute and a half. Dr. Schultz.
Unless the restraining order specifically allows police presence or a civil standby or a police escort, you do not have the authority as an officer to do something outside of that. You might want to do it for convenience. You might think it might prevent a problem. You might want to just be a nice guy. Let's get the guy, let's let him get his car and go home. But the restraining order provides the rules of conduct and engagement for you, and you do not want to tick off any judges.
Wow. So my question is, how was that guy supposed to get his car? I'm just curious.
Well, it could have
too bad is my answer. Yeah.
What was that? Oh, too bad. Yeah. But yeah, you get a third party, but you can't have a third party contact the victim or anything and try to skirt the order. But there are systems in play that you get the car, but the cop give him the ride, and obviously the cop didn't stick around. It doesn't say anything about the cop, sticking around and staying the whole time, then the guy going back. So it appears that the cop dropped him off and left him there and thinking he's going to drive away. And then the guy ends up killing his ex-wife, who had a protection order for a reason. Yeah.
Okay. So I misunderstood. So he dropped him off and that's when he killed it. That's crazy.
That's what, look, I'm making some assumptions because it doesn't go into great detail, but that's what it sounds like. And I wouldn't think the family, they would have a less likelihood to sue. But yeah, he had there, like the chief said, It's not like the order says, restraining order unless a law enforcement officer wants to give him a right back to get property. What if he has clothes there? It's not, they've got the guy in a Ring doorbell camera with knives and stuff, and they're worried about the safety of the family. It doesn't, like the chief said, it doesn't matter. The judge tried to save the life and did what he and did what he had to do, and the law enforcement just screwed that up. And they'll be writing a check. Hey, we've got just seconds. I do want to mention the Wounded Blue at thewoundedblue.org. Please check out Randy Sutton's 501c3 that's helping cops out in the world of hurt. And thank you so much, Chief Schultz and Scott Steyer, for being on the show. We covered some great stuff. And thanks for the insight. We appreciate it. A shout out to our sponsors, Gauls.com, CompliantTechnologies.com, AeroPrecisionUSA.com, Gunlearn, My Medicare, Safeguard Recruiting, Two Bells, and FisherOrlandoBass.com. We'll see you guys back on Monday, 12 noon Eastern. And we're going to keep this going for another minute and a half just to keep the satellite company happy. Guys, any parting words for our streaming audience that you want to say?
I should have said this during the radio portion, but Chip, you have and I'm going to be humble and exclude myself. You have some amazing guests with an amazing knowledge base. And when you talk about wanting to educate your audience, you've got the people that can absolutely do that. Some of them are high profile, some of them are low profile, but they all have a perspective that America needs to hear right now. So I appreciate what you do, and I appreciate having a small part in it.
Well, thanks. It is nice watching major news networks now and seeing, this guy's on the show, that guy's on the show, and we know that it's not necessarily an importance thing because there are guys that are grunt level officers that just have some gospel to preach when it comes to law enforcement, right? I mean, their words are true, but yeah, just trying the education. You get it. We're just trying to educate people, and we're improving police community relations while we're doing it, and we're helping save lives. We get so many emails from guys that say, man, I was involved in a shoot. You guys covered it on the show, and my agency's been crucifying me. They want to fire me. They want to do this, they want to do that. And you had guys break it down, and sometimes we've got critical incident review. We've got another guy that is Von Clem, that is with Force Science Institute, and he's coming on the show next week.
Okay.
So we've got some guys that are just rock solid guys that are experts in court. And so anyhow, so thanks for the words,